before you eat. That's a tough one to proceed. I'm going to do what Matt does. I'm going to walk around a little bit, get my steps in. So I'm Matt Steinhaus, and Matt, Rees, and I started our friendship about 45 years ago. And we're not really sure what the actual origin was, but we know that it was through one or both of the primary social institutions that we grew up with in Lafayette, which was Spring Hill School or Springbrook Pool. And of course, once I got introduced to Matt, I got introduced to the Rees family and Dawn. And when Matt asked me if I would be interested in saying some words, I was honored, because there's not many people I would really look forward to speaking about more than Dawn Rees and the impact he's had on so many people, including me. So I have some stories, I'm going to share them, and I think they'll resonate with people, even though they'll be new to you. They won't be new to Matt or Joanna. In fact, one of them will be probably the 12,000th retelling of the story. But I'm looking forward to sharing some of this with you about a really extraordinary guy, especially as it was in my life. So the first story is really my mom's, which is, I'm sharing on behalf of my mom, Sandy Steinhaus is sitting over there. She's the one cackling. And my dad's sitting next to her. So my mom is in the best way possible, is kind of the quintessential neurotic Jewish mom from New York, and Jewish grandma. And Dawn, at one point in time, Matt and I we did this regularly, where we would hop on BART and do things with groups or just two people. And my mom would worry incessantly, my dad wouldn't. And we didn't know any Rees worried, but on this particular occasion, Matt and I were going to an A's game, and it's an afternoon in the summer. And my mom got a call from Don, who was working. And he just said, "Sandy,
you were in 5th and 6th grade.
There's no way. There's no way we were on board going to open 5th and 6th grade. That's not possible." Okay. So anyway, our irresponsible parents let a bunch of 5th graders and 6th graders go on board to an A's game. But we had to be older than that, but Matt, I can't believe it. Anyway, I'm going to continue. Thank you for that point. And I'm getting heckled by my mom. So Dawn calls my mom from the office and says, "Sandy, I know you're worrying. I need you to worry for both of us." Now, as much as Matt said being an attorney was so central to Don's identity, what was more central to his identity was being a caring, thoughtful dad. So he probably put a little spot in his calendar, in his planner, in between depositions and partner meetings, to call my mom and say, "Worry for me." But I always thought it was brilliant that Don took that time out of his day, because it actually showed what was mostly on his mind, even on a busy work day. But another story I would share, I'm just going to skip one because we're going to eat. But the story that was probably the most crucial for Don and me was one that was a recycling story he would tell for 35 years, which involved, I was visiting from LA, staying at the Rees's, and Matt, this was summer 86 or 87, Matt was doing a summer internship at Gordon and Rees. So he left early with Don, I slept in, Joanna and Marilyn were gone, and I was in the house, 3528 Spring Hill, just kind of own the house to myself, make myself at home, pour myself a bowl of cereal, Raisin Bran to be specific, which is really the root of this story. And the bonus ingredient was just thousands of bugs all in the cereal. I don't know when they bought the cereal, I didn't look at the expiration date. And it didn't occur to me to just believe that had anybody seen that, they just wouldn't have eaten it. So I took the extra step, I gotta warn Matt, I gotta call Matt. So I called Gordon and Rees, asked for Matt, get put on hold, and Don answers. And he says, "Everything okay, Matt?" And I tell him what it was. He said, "Yeah, okay, I've got to get back to work." So in my mind, I'd done the good deed and was a mensch and did the right thing. But in reality, what I triggered was 35 years worth of Don Rees ridicule over that topic. The opportunity to mention Raisin Bran in some form did not evade him in any conversation we had over the next 35 years. And the brilliance of Don Rees was he could incorporate it in any manner. He would start with it, "Hey Matt, Raisin Bran?" to start. Or he would segue into it, because I ate a great cafe with Joanna and I got an omelet because Raisin Bran, you warned me, never going back. And he would do it, and he was brilliant about it. And it never got old, because Don's sense of humor was he was so funny that it was worth hearing that repeated. I have people that repeat stories, and the second time a funny story is repeated, they're not funny enough to make it funny. Don can say something literally 1,200 times, and it was funny every time. And I enjoy that, and I look forward to the ridicule. Nobody else could have gotten away with that. So, I mean, for those of you probably nobody looks at Don and sees a fraction of a Jewish grandma from New York, but I see a little bit in him. And I'm certain nobody here actually thinks of Don when they're pouring a bowl of Raisin Bran, but I do. But what I mostly think about with Don, above and beyond that, is all of these attributes that make Don great. He was one of the most thoughtful people at moments of our lives when we needed him. When my daughter was born in 2015, and I was an old dad. I was 48 and became a dad. Don called. Don wanted live contact. It was easy for people to just send a text or pass on their best wishes. Don wanted to talk about it. So I got a call from Don. He was so happy for my wife and me and asked questions about our daughter, Marnie, and how June was doing. And then inevitably he asked if Raisin Bran was on the breakfast menu at St. John's Hospital. It got into that conversation, it always did. But that was Don, taking time out to separate himself, because it was more important to Don to have a live interaction and to hear my voice and understand everybody has that moment when your kids are born. My first, everybody's first. But it was such a momentous occasion that Don made it a point, because it was as important to him to talk to me as it would have been for me to hear from him. And then one other story that stands out about Don's thoughtfulness involved my dad. When my dad's business was basically dissolving because his partner passed away. They were in 2 states. My dad's in LA, and his partner was in New Jersey. The business was in New Jersey. And it was getting ugly because my dad's, the partner's widow decided she was going to capitalize on the home court advantage of being in New Jersey and having an attorney, and that's where the business was based. So she was going to legally try to get more money out of my dad than the business agreement allowed for. And we didn't know what to do, but we did, because I called Don. And within that day, I heard back from Don. And within that same day, my dad got a call from one of the attorneys in the New Jersey Gordon Rees office. And in that immediate conversation amounted to a referral and ultimately a resolution that went entirely in favor of my dad. So Don's immediate presence brought so much comfort and ease to a very distressing situation. You lose your partner, your business is finished, you're getting sued by the widow, and it was Don. And then Don would check in. How's it going? How's everything going? I'm over 7 minutes, by the way. And charge your battery. And he would call. How did everything turn out? Blah, blah, blah. Did you give his attorney the Raisin Bran tip? So, I'm not joking. He brought it up every time. You think I'm embellishing. It's not an embellishment. So when I think of Don, to close, one of the amazing things about Don Rees was that he was this remarkable, impressive, distinguished, funny guy. But what made him great was how regular he was. Irregular in the most complimentary way to every other attribute he had. Because he just wanted to talk to you about anything, and it never had to be about him. He never was self-congratulatory. I'm around people repeatedly that are really impressive, and I know it because they say so. Or they're great at what they do, and I know it because they tell me they're great. Don could have talked about himself like that, and he never did. He wanted to talk about things, family, and he wanted to catch up on little things and basketball and Raisin Bran. That was our topics. And we would talk, and I could talk to Don for hours. He'd catch up after 3 years not speaking to him at all, like we hadn't missed a beat. So when I think of Don, I think of this guy who worked for Gordon and Rees and is a legacy builder. And when you think about him going to work every day for Gordon and Rees and then starting a top 25 law firm in the country with an office in every state. That legacy is pretty clear on a professional level, but his true legacy, above and beyond that, is his family. He worked for his family, he worked for his children and his grandchildren and his family, and his legacy was his family. And Matt said, being an attorney was central to him, but being a dad, with the Don I knew, was the most important thing for him, and everything he did was for them. So it's been a pleasure for me to be able to talk about Don. I miss him already, and I'm going to miss the opportunity to have conversations with him and revisit the past and kind of turn back time. But I'm super grateful that 45 years of my life, Don was in it. I feel very lucky and fortunate that we had that opportunity to share so many great moments. And he was a remarkable guy, and thanks very much. Thank you.